So let's get down to business. Hello, Alberto. We're going to go first of all. What's the hardest decision you've ever had to make, and what did it change in your life?
Well, there have been some varied ones. Maybe now that I'm an adult, it's like when they get more weight. And maybe I will say the fact that I was trying to choose make a decision after finishing my grade and well, my bachelor's, and it was like maybe I could do masters, maybe I could just go directly to try to work at some business and get my experience, because right now the employment is asking for some actual job experience, and it would be maybe better valued for someone who has done some internship with scholarships and stuff like that. So maybe I would say that my present stage of life has been one of my most well thought decisions, that one of that I have had to give a lot of time to decide.
Okay, good. Next one. What is the most misunderstood part of your personality that people don't understand, or something people think about you that's not really true?
I would say my sense of humor, because people just say that I'm like trying like that I'm really judgy, and I'm always trying to criticize people or just make them look bad when they do something. But no, I mean I just like to make things like make fun of things, and I think that the healthiest way of like the first step and the healthiest one is like to be able to make fun of yourself, and that's something that I've done a lot of times with me myself, because it's making like um, not making a whole world out of some minor mistakes you can make. And when I try to apply this same thing with other people, of course it's not me criticizing myself or making fun of my own self. It's more like people, some people who are not maybe that close as I thought, they can get kind of in a to a defensive point, and they start thinking that I am some critical nasty person. So
Okay, good. Now, tell me about an opinion or a belief that you once held that was a strong opinion that you no longer have, or at least is very, very weak.
maybe because I was raised in a Catholic school, and I mean, I grew up between nuns, and all of the people in there were kind of right wing and stuff. Maybe I wasn't too keen on what right now is called the left wing ideology, but right now I no longer have the ideals, because I do not think that religion should be attached to political ideologies or even like to economical ones. I mean, uh, I think that those 3 points are usually seen as a complex that has to go in blocks, and I don't think that anymore. So
No, but it's challenging, isn't it, to not have them as the block because for some reason you believe in one thing, you somehow end up believing in the other thing.
yeah,
You
but I mean, it's also really curious, because then you see Catholic people, like the dogma and of the religion itself is helping everyone and living for the other people, and that's just socialism. But now it's more related to what would be left wing and capitalism, and that makes no sense at all.
well, this is the confusing
If
part
anything, they are
behind it.
saying
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
yeah,
If if you are for whatever reason you tend to be considered right wing, you follow the Christian religion, which is deeply socialistic in its nature, and yet if you are in favor of Islam, that's considered the left wing one, and yet that one is much more right wing in its views and
it's
how
really.
things should
I,
be.
I don't think that people stop to talk about, like, to really think about it, and I mean, I can get the point of Islam as left wing, because it's more like we are accepting other cultures, and that's more progressist. But at the same time, it's true that that culture itself is not progressist at all. It's really
No.
traditional. They keep their own the same. I would say the Quran has to be the same exact copy one after the other, and if you are reading a translated version, then you are not reading the actual Quran. So it's kind of like they are really traditional, and yet they are used like as a progressism symbol for at least in Spain. I don't know in the rest of Europe or even the world, but
Okay, good enough. Next question. So, if your parents knew what you got up to, not that you may have got up to anything, on your party nights, would they still be proud of you?
I think so because I have to say that at first I thought that I was the great pretender and that they just didn't know what I was into. But then after some explanations that I had to give, that they were like, they obviously could make up some hints, like some guesses from my hints, and there was the point that I fall asleep in the metro, and then that was like the last thing that would bury me in the end. And I don't think that they have a that has, I mean, it damaged my image to the point that maybe whenever I'm going out they are like, please be careful, have fun but don't overdo it, and I'm like, okay, like I won't repeat that at all. But on the other hand, I think that they see that I'm still doing all I can to continue with my professional degree. I'm also developing as a person my own, and I think that they are proud and they know that I like partying and that sometimes I can just eh, well, lose some control, but it's not even well, and that was more in the past. But I don't think that it's not something that is damaging how much they love me or how proud they are of me.
Okay. But everybody makes mistakes, right? Everybody gets things wrong.
Yeah,
In your case, what's your biggest regret? And, or if it's connected, what's your biggest failure?
maybe my biggest regret right now is the it's really hard because of my mentality. I try not to just um, try to live a lot in the past because it's already done. And for example, I would say that maybe the 4 years of my bachelor's I would have changed them, maybe for another bachelor's degree, like have because right now I'm doing a master's focused on something completely different, not completely different, it's related, but it's not like the most common path that I could have followed. And this is because I what I would have liked to study was more focused on I would say agronomy and agriculture, engineering, maybe. And just because I was more into biology and stuff, I just chose another degree, and it was more focused on the clinical, the chemistry, and stuff like that. And now I think about it, and it has been for years. I've known a lot of people, I've made a lot of friends, but yeah, it could have been the same on 5 years of engineering, and it would have been an engineering of something that I would have enjoyed more, and probably it would be even better paid.
Oh, exactly. You never know in those
So it's
things.
kind of
Okay.
like I don't want to leave a lot thinking about it because right now I'm doing my master's, and again it's focused on that part. So I'm enjoying it, and I don't think that my future is lost because I made a bad choice. But it's true that there's always on the back of my mind like the thought of maybe I should have picked a more focused bachelor's degree in engineering, but I was just scared of the word engineering because it's like people suffer a lot on this.
Yes. Okay, good. Next one. How independent are you as a person? Do you think your parents are giving you sufficient freedom? Have they been too protective? Have they got the balance just right? And how do you think that reflects on you in terms of your independence level?
I wouldn't say I've been very independent at all. Like until I went to Stockholm last year, um, I didn't even know how to cook rice or pasta. So maybe I knew how to fry some steaks and or an egg, but that's it. And right now, well, in Stockholm, I had the luck to go there with two friends, and they would teach me a lot of stuff. Also, it was helpful because every time I was coming back home from the laboratory where we did internships, it was kind of like I was tired, and they would force me to do more things like going to the gym and like kind of make they were like my parents in there because they, but in a more way that I wouldn't feel as if I had the obligation to do stuff, but they were like, Alberto, come down because we have to cook or we have to go to the gym or whatever. And then I would go. And now that I'm living in Bilbao by myself, I have no one this time. Um, I'm just learning how to cook more elaborated things because I want to. I clean because I don't like to see things disorganized. And I go to the gym by myself because I want to have the day occupied, like keep myself busy. And I wouldn't say that my parents have protect me because at the moment that I discovered this independence, I knew that I wanted this, and it wasn't like I don't want to go out this comfort bubble. It was quite the opposite. Like I need to go out from here. But and I think that I got enough to be able to survive to some point by myself. But I wouldn't say that they would have make like ordered me to make the first step. Like they were waiting until something just changed, and I would be like, "Yeah, I want to go out. I want to be 1 year here or 4 months there." So
You just made that decision that you were ready to
yeah,
go.
I
Yeah,
think
it was. This is
they
the
what they
movement.
wanted was that in ourselves take that make that decision, and then I don't think we are useless because my brother as well, he has been living the same way as I have. And I don't think that makes us useless because the moment we are alone, we know how to just organize things. But on the other hand, it's kind of like they are not telling us maybe you should start working or maybe you should do this or that. They are just like, okay, are you going to keep studying like doing masters or you want to do whatever else? And it's like, so we are in a very in a comfortable zone, but at the same time, it's like at the moment I decided to go out and just do it by myself, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm perfectly capable of it.
Let's test the theory. Tell me about the most angriest you've experienced your father towards you.
My father towards me,
Yeah, the most
mm,
angriest that you can remember.
you have picked the wrong example. It would have been my mother to make it easier, but
That's why I cheated the system slightly.
uh, I don't know. Like right now, I just feel that we are like most of our conversations are or serious in a point that both of us are serious, but not with anger, just because we are talking some weight subject and we don't want to make jokes about it, or completely the opposite, we are just making jokes about stuff. So maybe some stuff that I'm talking about something that I did during the day, and he's just saying like, how could you do that? That's horrible. That you shouldn't talk that way to a teacher or something like that. And I'm just saying that there is a teacher I get on really well with, and that I made him a dick joke or something like that. And he's like, no, you shouldn't do that, and this, and then but maybe he gets angry because then I get angry at him and I'm like, you cannot be like this. You're so serious. Like you're not natural at all. And then we start arguing about it, but it's not like anger in some way that it gets to him shouting to me or stuff like that. It's more like having a conversation and maybe we are having it in a more defensive way. We want to make sure that our point is clear and that we have the reason, each of
Yeah.
us. But so it's kind of offensive and defensive, but it's not like uh, him just telling me that I've done something wrong and that I should be ashamed or something.
Okay, and last thing about your parents. Do they see you and treat you as an equal, as an adult, or do they still treat you as a child, in your opinion? Not a young child, but their child, basically.
That's I mean, from my mother's point of view, I'm still a child. That's something that
Yeah.
I just know. Actually, today I got here by bus, and when I arrived, I mean, came to Avenida de America, then went home. When I arrived home, I was just leaving my things in my bed, telling my parent, like my father and my brother, that everything was fine, that the bus trip was a little bit exhausting. And my mother was like, she was at the, well, at the office. So safely, are you correct? And when she came back for lunch, she was like, hi Alberto, how are you? So it's kind of, but more like a young adult. I'm still her child. So I don't think that's going to change. Not in some decades.
No.
So maybe until they don't have grandchildren, they won't. And then
No.
with my father's case is different, because he's like, he can treat you as an equal, but usually, again, he likes to make a lot of jokes. And even with my mother, sometimes he's like kind of playing her as if she was a kid, but obviously he's doing it as a joke. And maybe, and sometimes he even
Yeah.
put himself down to a child position, like I've messed something up, and he's like, okay, mom, can we do something about it? So he is more in a playful way, rather than making someone feel equal or down or up, or like in a kind of hierarchical way.
Okay. Moving on. Tell me about a friend who is no longer a friend that you chose to remove.
Oof, I have a lot, but maybe like the first time I did that was like, um, I had a friend since maybe kindergarten, and he was again from school. And we were all time together, but it is true that this guy was pretty weird. Right now, I don't know what's of him, what has he has been doing lately or anything. But he stayed with us like in the school until high school. I mean, until we finished high school. So, but there was some point that I could see that this guy was racist, homophobic. The worst thing is that he was racist, saying that, yeah, Spain, the best country. We're Spanish. He wasn't even Spanish. He was like half Serbian, and it was kind of, this is kind of satiric, no? And I don't know, there was something about him that he was kind of, people didn't know how to react to him, because he was really weird to some points, but he wasn't ashamed of being weird. So people were like, to some point they find him funny, and he was kind of, he was kind of an extrovert, even though he was weird. But I don't know. I've always been an introvert since the last 2 or 3 years, and I really like to get attached to people who were extroverts, because for me it was easier to get to know new people. And in school,
Okay.
when you just know the same 20 people from your same class, that's what I did, and I kept having this friendship for maybe 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. And then there was a point that I was like no longer. I mean, every time he made the same jokes, and they weren't even, it was like kind of disrespect, and at the same time it was, I could see that whatever he did, he was to try to keep himself in a a position of superiority among his friends. And he was like, and I could see that he was to some point manipulating me. Obviously, I don't know if intentionally or not, because we were kids, but it was kind of like, no, this is not making me any, this is not aiding me at any point.